What's up, YouTube? Greetings to the world. It's show time. Welcome to Wolf King's Vids. I'm your host, the Werewolf King. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, so G-Man decided to play second banana to Truman Pierce's notion that atheism has been defeated, and he made a little over 40-minute video about how atheism has been defeated online. Let's see what insight that old G-tard has for us, shall we? Okay. All right. There we go.
Oh my God, it actually works. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. Today, I want to actually piggyback off of a topic that was brought up by Troy Parrotsism. Not necessarily talking about the exact same things, but maybe add a little bit more to what has been said. There are a lot of people right now, well, not a lot, but there are some people in our community that's trying to resurrect a lot of these, a lot of what atheists were doing on here before I got here online, before atheism was pretty much debunked here online. But before we really get into that, let's just go briefly into the history. A lot of you out there know, and if you don't know, you're gonna know now, that before Christians really knew how to answer a lot of the objections that atheists were giving online, it was changing the mind of a lot of people. It was causing them to doubt their faith and ultimately give up their faith. And it was mainly because nobody knew how to respond to the things that they were saying. Like, for example, they would ask you, where is the evidence for God? They will be, in their bazookas and everything and whatnot, they'll be loaded up with the arguments that, with logical fallacies. They'll say that we don't have any good reasons.
I'm just waiting for the part where he's debunked atheism. That's news to me.
Have all kinds of arguments, and those claim that science is on their side, and things like that and whatnot. But the reality is that was about 10 years ago here online. The glory days of atheism on the internet is all but over. Now, there are some people in our community that has a hope that they can bring back the dominance that these people had online. Again, obviously, the atheist experience hasn't woken up to the reality of the situation. Ionic dance is another.
Okay, here's what G-Man don't understand, right? That's a good picture. But here's what old G-Man don't get is the fact that just because he tends to ignore the reality of statistics and focuses on basically what occurs in his view within a 5-meter range. Basically, he doesn't actually look to the larger portions of information. Like for example, I don't know where he's getting this notion that atheism or secularization was at its height 10 years ago. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, because there's a study right here that I'll show right now. Studies show that way more Americans may be atheists than we actually thought, and in fact, 1/4 of Americans are atheists. 26%. It's just that for the most part they feel that they have to keep it under wraps, or they're holding doubt. But yeah, it's Yeah, it's still pretty high even for this time. And this is from May 18th, 2017. Yeah, and never mind the fact that religion has declined as a authority on social issues with the rise of science and rationality. But yeah, according to this guy, he's debunked atheism, even though we've never been more secular than this time than ever before. Okay, it's actually unprecedented.
And then I would see the non sequitur show. They actually believe that people are falling for that nonsense that's going on that YouTube channel. But I'm going to explain why it's going to be virtually impossible for people, for atheism to go back to their heyday or their glory days. And for starters, many of these atheists were just doing that because they wanted a medium to vent, and then two, many of them just wanted to normalize atheism. And they did a great job. Atheism has been normalized to a lot of people. Then they got content with normalizing it to a lot of people. Then what has been normalized? I believe what has been normalized here online in our society today is that atheists are jerks. They think they know everything. They come across as as being these disrespectful people. That's what.
Yeah, I think someone has their feelings hurt. I think someone needs to actually grow a backbone, and stop crying. Uh, for the most part. And yeah, the reality is, yeah, atheists aren't the most hated group in America anymore. It's more Muslims, but yeah, you gotta get out of your feelings, man. All right.
Has been normalized. It isn't so much that there are people out there that claim they don't believe in the existence of God. It's just that they've normalized the fact that they're jerks, and they think that they're better than everybody because they think.
Yeah, this is coming from the guy who doesn't take correction on virtually anything and who accuses people of adultery, racism, pedophilia, of other horrendous actions. And this is basically whenever he gets in the flesh, or basically when he's having a bitch made fit.
They're smarter than everyone else. But the reality is, I think and I can name the people. Unfortunately, some of the people on here have changed their focus. But there's been a lot of people who I believe when we stand before Almighty God, that God is going to commend for their sacrifices and their hard work for getting on here. And whether you did a little bit or you did a lot, I think God is going to compliment those who put the work in to show the folly of these atheists.
I'm still waiting on that whole atheism debunk thing. Was that just something he farted out just as clickbait, or
take a worldview? I noticed that Sabella's watching, for example. Well, her husband, Bruce Shepard, was one of the people that was going back and forth with these people. I believe at that particular time he was doing it in the name of Jesus. At least I think he was. I actually have this document that he gave me 6 years ago, I think, that explained how to refute like the vast majority of the arguments. I literally have that still in my emails. Very, 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 very long. Send me this document that he wrote himself. But it's a combination of him, like William Lane Craig, Dr. Ken Hovind, I don't know, Matt Slick, Wingnut, Rand Campbell, myself, Parrotsism, Brother Beckel, and a lot of people that I really don't know.
Rand Cam is a scam artist. He doesn't believe in Jesus. Yeah, he's about as much of a Christian as Brett Keane. Not really. You are very naive.
I don't know a lot about like Thing X and others out there who have put a lot of work in. Who has put the work in to refute a lot of these atheistic arguments. And I mean, I remember when I first got on here and I was listening to this stuff, and I was like, how come I've never been prepared for this stuff before? They're bringing up scriptures that I've read before, but I never really give it a lot of thought to the way they're thinking about it, you know.
Because you're not a professional, because you tend to shoot from the hip and miss the point all the time. Most of the time, if not all the time.
And then, you know, you get in a room with them long enough, you start taking them seriously. You know what I mean? Then you just know how to just, you begin to learn how to just completely just shoot that stuff into oblivion. You know what I mean? But again, the non sequitur show is attempting to bring back, you know, the glory days of atheism here online. And once again, you know, you got the atheist experience and you got these other shows on here that are attempting to do the same thing. But the reality is that most of us aren't stupid. We see what's going on.
Well, I mean, I'd hope so, but promises.
We see the same tired old patterns, and then there's a bigger enemy to what's going on here too. There's a much bigger enemy going on here right now, and that's the fact that a lot of atheists just don't care no more. I can literally, like, if I felt like it and if I had time, I can go to G-Man versus the World. I can go to Veckel's Thank God for Atheism. I can go to a lot of the different shows that was on here and show you just how hard atheists used to work to try to portray themselves as being these upright, moral people. These days, they don't particularly care about that no more. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them don't seem to care. Don't seem to care about.
Yeah, that's an argument from incredulity. I mean, who cares what your personal perception is? I mean, the reality is there's been studies, you know, focuses there's been cross-examinations and comparisons that show that you know, places with high secular populations, they're actually doing well on all signs of well-being. And in fact, countries with religious commitment, they're actually lower. Countries with lower religious commitment are correlated with higher GDP, higher income equality, greater happiness. I mean, it's not really much of a problem. You know, they have low crime, low corruption. So the idea that you know, some people can't be good without God is just nonsense.
About looking like a good person no more. Like, there's literally a gentleman on YouTube. You don't know who he is, who openly admitted that he's not a good person, while calling other people not good people, which doesn't make any sense, because if you're okay with being evil, then why wouldn't you? Then why, like how could you criticize God or another human being for doing evil things when you think it's okay to do evil things yourself?
Yeah, he's referring to Dragnot, and Dragnot didn't say that. He said he never said that he was a moral person or some example of morality. Okay, he was just calling you out on your BS, on your dishonest fucking actions. Whether it was I don't know, like trying to get faithful to God's money for his charity, or lying to people that you lost your job because atheists tried to get you fired or some nonsense. You were just so full of shit, G-Man. But you are not you're not moral either, or at all. I mean, Drag is more moral than you.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's people like that is helping keep a lot of people from deconverting over to atheism. Is absolutely delicious, man. If you actually have been on here long enough to know what I'm actually talking about. The theory of evolution is being debunked into the ground. I mean, you got scientists signing this document, you know, the Descent of Darwin, where they have well over 900 signatures of people who are in the scientific field that is questioning the theory of evolution.
Okay, yeah, that the scientific descent from Darwin, that was put out in 2001. I remember because recent I had some conversation with some creationist jackasses who were talking about, they had almost 1,000 people signed it, which is nice. However, there was some actually put out scientific support for Darwinism, and let's see. A total of 7,733 scientists signed a statement affirming their support for evolution over a 4-day period. This was in 2005, mind you. And I mean, this is old. But I mean, evolution is really an argument for atheism, though. I mean, there's a shit ton of creationists. No, not Christian. There's a shit ton of Christians who believe in evolution as well. So, those Christians who at least have a work understanding of science, anyway.
Was doubting this theory of evolution. And no, they're not all theists who are doing this. There are people who are quote unquote non-theists that are starting to say things like, well, I don't necessarily accept evolution. I understand that the holes and everything in it. And then you got people who are Christians on here who were being debunked by it. I'm sorry, not being debunked, but being convinced by it, and now making YouTube videos saying that, that people have turned evolution into some type of religion. You know what I mean? With dogmas and rules and rituals and all this other stuff and whatnot. Just hilarious.
False.
You can do a YouTube search, find the channels. They're all over the place. But another problem that a lot of these atheists are going to run into with trying to bring back the glory days is that they used to be the ones challenging us to a debate. They couldn't wait to get one of us in the room so they could say, where's your proof that your God exists? They couldn't wait for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like when I first started dealing with these people, I had everybody and their mama challenging me to a debate. Now, not even the new Christians are being challenged anymore. And there's a reason why they're not being challenged. They're not being challenged because the vast majority of us have a pretty good understanding that the people who are trying to spread these things is working with deceit. They're attempting to try to deceive.
Dude, you block more people than freaking Steve Shives. What are you even talking about? Like half the people you call out are mostly famous people like Matt Dillahunty and friggin' Seth Andrews and all these other people and Aaron Raw. Most people who have pretty much turned you down because you're a moron, and the ones who will entertain your bullshit, you run away from like the goddamn plague. Drag friggin' tried to call you in a room and you were just bitch bait. You didn't want to go in the room and engage him because it just turned you into an idiot all over again. But yeah, you are just full of shit. You're blowing smoke up your own ass, dude. You're like you got chimney back there and you're just blowing out smoke.
You to be an atheist. To this very day, I have yet to hear a testimony. Yeah, that's not true. I've heard at least one or two. Out of like hundreds, I've heard one or two. But the vast majority of the time, when I'm listening to a person on how they became an atheist, and I say this for a reason. I think one day what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite the two people who I think have a decent testimony for being an atheist. I think a lot of you might find that interesting to hear me actually say, I'm not going to try to debate one of them like that. So I think that'd be interesting. But the vast majority of the people who actually do become atheists are usually people who are bullied into atheism. They're usually people who are tired of being called names and are people who are tired of being picked on and jumped.
Okay, I think somebody's feelings are being projected again. And it's not that hard to see. Bullied into atheism. No, people just see they weigh the evidence, see if it's consistent with the real world, and they see if it's if it's not consistent, if their religious views aren't consistent with the real world, they'll dump them and become atheists. I mean, that's pretty much simple as that. There's no bullying in like changing your mind or whatever. There's just nonsense.
By other people and whatnot. Like, you are literally bullied into atheism. There is no sound, logical, or rational reason to becoming an atheist. atheists have convinced themselves that they are winning. One of the reasons why I don't even like making YouTube videos addressing that idiocy is because they have an atheist mega church here in the United States of America, well, claiming not to be a religion, but it gets even better. It gets even better.
Yeah, that's called a parody religion, sweetie. That's called a parody religion. Okay. Yeah, they do that to make a point through satire. Yeah, there's such a thing as a religious satire. All right. That's usually the result of agnosticism or atheism. That's been happening for years. And it's designed so that jackasses like you fall for it. Okay? That's the funny thing.
You have Levian Satanists who claim to be atheists, who say that they are their own gods and goddesses. And I'm supposed to take these people seriously? Not to mention, most atheists online can't deal with the simple question of why are you an atheist without sounding illogical or irrational, or giving you a logical or irrational reason for being an atheist without contradicting everything that they ever said about why God doesn't exist, and just their worldview in general about being an atheist. It's just hilarious.
Commence with dumb semantic disputes in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And they really believe they're winning. No, this is what we're actually seeing going on in the world. And I'm thinking about adding this to the documentary when I finish it and everything. What atheists are actually contributing to, yes, they're contributing to people losing their faith in the Christian God. All right? However, and then by the way, I say the Christian God for a reason, because that's the only God that they don't believe in. I'm sorry, you're not going to tell me that these people don't believe in these other religions. But anyway, that's what happens when you only focus on one belief system.
Yeah, incredulity doesn't really mean anything, so I mean, whatever.
I'm just gonna let y'all know that, right? But because so many people are leaving the Abrahamic faiths because of these people, they're not becoming atheists. What they're becoming is pagans and heathens and people who believe in the mystery religions. Like if you go to Lee Lemon's channel, for example, she's an atheist who's getting into goth. Like when I get a chance to talk to her, I'm going to explain to her that she's actually this close into dabbling into straight Satanism. She's like,
that is so fucking retarded. Goth is this dude is so fucking dumb. Goth is like a friggin' it's like a music friggin' fashion kind of style where you're into all black and all fucking gloom and doom type shit. That's not fucking Satanism, you idiot. That's a jump between. That is such a leap in logic. He is so full of shit. He talks out of his ass all the time.
Like this close.
Nigga, that's the size of your brain. The word is 2 fucking fingers.
For me to start calling her a theist and stop referring to her as her claim and whatnot, it's just hilarious watching these guys. Then some of them will start saying that they're spiritual, and some of them will start saying that, you know, I'm a Buddhist now because it doesn't involve God. They wanted to get back into like religion and everything and whatnot. When in reality, we all know that they never left religion to begin with, because whether the non-sequitur show understands this, whether or not the atheist experience understands this or not, bionic dance understands this or not, if you have left the faith bringing people to God.
Okay, see, now G-Man's problem is that he has a very binary way of thinking. It's very black and white, zeros and ones, essentially, and it's he's not very rational as a result of doing this. First off, yeah, atheists for the most part deal with the Abrahamic faith because they tend to be the largest in population in the West. So yeah, normally you'll see you'll see atheists go against Christians, Muslims, and Jews because, for the most part, they tend to dominate the West. But to say that um, they're not atheistic with regard to all gods it's really semantic. It's really just boils down to semantics, and it's really insipid. And I'm almost bored of this. I'll give it a few more seconds, but yeah, it's not about deconverting people necessarily, or really anything related to that. It's really just a matter of being able to communicate ideas rationally and seeing where the evidence lies. Whether or not there's evidence for the supernatural or anything. And G-Man has done a shit job of actually showing how he's actually destroyed atheism. This just seems to be a rant about how atheists are big poopy heads, but that's his usual MO. Am I right?
And now you spend the majority of your life taking people away from God. It's the same thing. You're just doing the opposite. You have a religious practice of taking people away from God. You never provided any evidence either.
Yeah, I mean that. See, that's the exact misconception. Whether or not someone wants to be an atheist is their personal choice. That's their decision. All right. It's not about deconverting anyone or converting people to our view, because atheism is not a religion. It's not a religion in virtue of itself. It's just a proposition on one issue. The positive aspect of what an atheist actually does believe depends on what answer they'll give you. Now, you could probably argue that most atheists are naturalists, and they're trying to support naturalism, but that's actually like the positive aspect of what a person actually does believe. It's that would be like a stronger path to go to. And it's not about deconverting anyone. It's about showing up. It's about actually making the arguments and seeing what where the evidence and logic leads you to. But G-Man is not actually smart enough to go that route. He feels more obligated to focus on the drama, to focus on the feuds and the motion of the issue rather than the actual rationality. But I'm not really surprised by that. He's a beta. Little Jesse Lee Peterson meme there. But yeah, I'm not surprised. It's just the same atheist bitch rants that we always get from old G-Man. I mean, when he actually destroys an atheist, then maybe I'll agree with him. Maybe I'll eat crow on that. But yeah, I'm a bit dubious on that. When he doesn't even understand the terms he uses, or the fact that evolution isn't necessarily something for atheism or any of these philosophical topics that we go on about, maybe I'll cut him some slack. But until then, I'm just gonna say, yeah, G-Man doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's just as retarded as Ronnie about this. But anyway, that's my video. That's my 2 cents on it. This has been Wolf King. Peace out. If you like this video, you know what to do. Stop by, dare to know, and Hail Satan. Good night.